Guys, welcome to What's Barking Local. Thank you kindly for joining us. This is the fabulous program powered by Animal Connection, Central Virginia's longest running, most successful, all-natural pet store, 17 years and counting.
Good
What's
gracious.
Barking Local on the I Love Seville Network. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a round table that is oozing energy, that is oozing love for animals, that is oozing knowledge for dog training. We're going to have a good time.
And a lot of blue
why
fashion.
don't we flash the studio cam real quick, Harris Tolver, before we go to the star of the show, Patty, Patricia,
And a whole lot of blue fashion.
We do have some blue, and this is uncoordinated.
I know.
That's right.
Completely
Something.
uncoordinated. Talk to us of what's going on today at Animal Connection.
Hey, well, first of all, we want everybody to tune in to NBC 29 and watch for our new TV commercial. You're going to learn a lot about grooming and some cool things we've got going on. And hey, and you'll find it on our Facebook page too, but, you know, shout out. Give it a listen. Have it a watch.
I love it.
It'll be fun.
It's a great synopsis of everything that's fantastic about Animal Connection.
Yeah, we have new services that we want everybody to know about. So the other thing is we are launching a big contest this week. So next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, is the official Take Your Dog to Work Day nationwide. And so what we're doing is we are looking for Charlottesville's most friendly dog workplace. I mean, there are a lot of businesses in here where they might have anywhere from 2 dogs to, I think one of them has somewhere between 20 and 30 that come in during a day. So you want to name those businesses on our Facebook page. You want them to post pictures of their dog at work, and the winning business is going to get goodie bags for all their dogs, a cooler full of ice cream for the people, and there's some other surprises that you'll find out about later.
I love it.
So,
and we
yep.
have Hannah Timbers.
That's right. This
in
is
the
our buddy
house.
Hannah.
What's up,
And-
Hannah Timbers?
Yeah.
Talk to us who's sitting in your lap right there. We'll give her the mic.
Yeah.
Hannah Timbers.
Tell us about your dog.
Tell us about, is it Gimme?
Yes.
Tell us about Gimme. Tell us what it's like to be a camp student at
And a
Mahogany
counselor.
Ridge. The show is yours, Hannah. It feels good? Well, I'll tell you what, I can tell Gimme loves it.
Yep. Wait
What
for
do you like best
15
about
minutes.
Going to camp?
What I like about going to camp is watching the kids like work with their dogs and see how they grow throughout the week.
Because you're a counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Counselor, very solid. I love that. And you have a very well-behaved dog. I think we need to welcome Theresa Richmond to the show. Jen
Thank you.
Carter in the house as well.
right.
What's up?
Gail Golumsky is saying hello.
Hey,
Kimberly
Gail.
Smith is saying hello right now. Give the show a like and a share on any of the channels that you're watching. Mahogany Ridge, the who, what, when, where, and why. The show's yours.
Ooh, all mine. Well, the story began a very long time ago. I'm much younger than I look. But I started dog training in the early 80s when I discovered a method of training that seemed to work for most people and most dogs. So with that, I attached myself to another group of trainers in the country and began teaching dog training camps with adult members in staff and in training. And after about 15 years of that, I decided that why isn't anyone doing this with children? Because kids love their dogs, they love to go to camp, and even those kids that maybe have never been to camp, if you could go toting your dog along,
So much easier.
oh my, how much fun could you have? So I then developed a day camp, which we have run since 1999, both in the state of New York and Virginia. This is our second residential year where we have partnered with Camp Horizons in Harrisonburg, and they have provided us with a residential facility that takes the kids and their dogs all week long, provides extreme complimentary meals as well as their snacks, and the facility is just beautiful. From the sleeping arrangements, great showers, wonderful areas to walk the dogs. The dogs have places to be also, and it's just the most amazing thing that I do with dogs.
Nice.
I love it. I love
It's
it.
amazing.
Is it Elisa Kamens?
It is. Hi.
She is saying, hey, Theresa.
Hey, Lisa.
Love you. If you have a message for anyone on set, we're happy
That's
to
great.
relay to them here on What's Barking Local. Jen Carter
Hey, hey.
You wear a number of hats.
I do. I
Boy,
keep
does she
turning up
ever.
like a bad penny, don't I?
The VP of Marketing and Sales
Yep.
at Volhard.
Yep.
She is also a client of Mahogany Ridge.
It's true.
I'm getting out of the way. The show is yours. Talk to us first about Mahogany Ridge and what you've learned from
Absolutely.
Theresa.
So, I'm here to support Theresa. A couple of years ago, I got a brand new dog, and I ended up meeting her because my dog was socially awkward, and I wanted a place for my dog to go to learn how to be a dog. And I found Theresa, and I went for my lovely interview with the dog there to see if she would fit in with their daycare program. And she fit in fantastically. And over the last 3 years, she's become a completely different dog on so many levels. And I've become a completely different handler on so many levels. Studying under Theresa has been amazing. I've really learned how to communicate with my dog. I've learned how to understand what she needs to be successful and how to read her behavior in a way that I've never, in the history of having dogs my whole life, I've just never had that. So it's been a great experience. And then she got me involved. I also love very much working with children and education, hence the whole Volhard thing.
That's
and trying to
perfect
educate
fit.
people. Yep. And so she sucked me in with a couple of cute faces and some furry butts. And
Oh, right.
next thing you know, I'm helping out with Mahogany Ridge. And it's my third year. Helping out with the camp at different levels. My dog attends with one of the kids that doesn't have a dog.
Nice.
So
There you
Luce
go.
gets to go to camp, and this year will be the first year that I'm actually going to be able to give a nutritional workshop to the kids. So it's
Oh, nice.
pretty exciting.
I love it.
very
Two sizzle
exciting.
reels right there. Teresa's answer and Jen's answer. Sizzle reels are highlight clips from the show, which Patty will send to you. Patty Boden, jump in here.
Well, I'm just really impressed with all that Mahogany Ridge has to offer at this camp. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read something. So the subjects these kids learn are just like nutrition, anatomy, physiology. What do vets do about breeds? They learn how to correctly use a leash and a collar, or a lead and a collar, as I prefer to use it, using equipment and voice and hands. They learn how to communicate and correct and praise and clean up and sit, stay. And I wore my sit and stay and fetch and play shirt just for the, just for that. So
Fitting.
they learn about safety, they learn agility, and they even learn to read a dog's body language, which is so cool. I mean, dogs will even tell you something when they're sleeping or resting. So, they learn so much. And, normally you hear that when there's dog training involved, there's one family member, usually mom, that's in charge, and she's in charge of the dog, and everybody else has to follow in. This is great to get everybody involved in the holistic lifestyle of this dog.
I love it. I love what I'm hearing. You walked into small business here, an advertising agency, know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, know what it's like to have to innovate. And I feel like you undoubtedly are an innovator. We know of camp. We know of kids camp.
Right?
We know
Right.
of training. We know of assimilation schools with dogs and society. Meshing camp for kids and a dog is freaking brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant. In a lot of ways, growing up, my dog was almost like a security blanket or something that just kind of kept me at ease when I was nervous and gave me courage and the confidence that I needed to handle whatever situation I was in. When you're going to camp and you're leaving home, that oftentimes takes courage and confidence, and you need it and you have to muster it.
That's right.
Talk to us about the innovation and the idea and the aha moment, if you may.
Oh, the aha moment came quite early. It was undoubtedly something that I was going to do, but in my mid-30s, I had my son. And of course, as he became a little older, and I was reminded myself of how I wish there had been some kind of a dog training place I could have gone as a child, other than a training class, get dropped off, get picked up an hour later, do what you're told. That's what
You
my
made it
mom
fun.
would say. You have to make it fun. If it's not fun, why are we doing it? We should be able to enjoy ourselves, enjoy our
dogs are
pets.
fun.
And there's always stress. I mean, stress follows us everywhere, whether it's good or bad. And so we learn how to handle one another's stress. The kids become friends, bonded. I can't tell you how many kids this year have requested to be roomed with the kid they were with last year. Even though they have their little rows during the week, they always seem to come out on top, helping each other out. And the counselors are great too. They're always helping the kids, trying to figure out, how to clean up the poop, because that can be really scary if you never picked it up in a bag before. And just the whole concept of bringing kids and dogs together, it seems like if we want to perpetuate anything in our life, we need to begin with children. And if I wanted to perpetuate this love of dogs that I have, and this belief that we are good people and that we can treat our whole dog with lots of different things, whether it's their diet, their exercise, their lifestyle, their ability to learn, and to set the child up for as much success as the dog. So no doubt I was going to be doing this. I had a wonderful mentor, mentors. Jack and Wendy Volhard mentored me from the early 80s. And when I brought this to Jack's attention, I said, Jack, you know, I'm going to do a kids camp. He said, what do you mean you're going to do a kids camp? I said, just like you're doing with adults, I want to do this with kids. And he told me I was out of my mind. Because who in their right mind is going to take on 16 or 20 dogs, not to mention their children too? I said, hey, more kids, it's going to be merrier. It's got to be. And yes, it's an extreme liability. You know, my insurance is always paid on time, just being funny, of course. But you have to be very careful with dogs. And if I have parents that have a child with a dog and they're uncertain, then we just have them come by for a visit so I can watch the child handle the dog and be
So
sure.
like the vetting process?
More or less.
Yeah.
And there are many times this doesn't occur, but a couple of times each summer I'll get a parent that might be a little concerned, or a certain question I may ask may trigger something, and I think, maybe I need to meet them. Because if the child is not successful, there's not going to be any fun. So we need to set that in role first, if you will, to make sure that everybody's going to have a good time.
Will you piggyback on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been a part of it for the last 3 years. 1 year of day camp and then the last 2 years of residential. And I can tell you, when those children show up with their dog, they have no relationship with that dog. You know, the dog does not consider them an authoritative being. And so they're both floundering a little bit, trying to figure out, where is my authoritative person? You know, why am I with you? Why are we here? And the dog goes through a growth period where they learn to be with other dogs and other kids and to be calm and to have controlled activities versus free reign, which they might have at home in the backyard, versus a controlled activity. And the kids are wholly responsible for their dog. So they feed them, they pick up after them, they wake up, they have to put their dog first, and then they take care of themselves. And so what I've seen over that week is you start off with, you know, a kid and their dog that has a loose relationship, and by the end of that week, that dog is walking right next to them as they handle them. And there's a respect that has been, and a trust that has been grown over that week. And I can't begin to tell you that now that child can take an active role in the health and care of that dog, and it happens in 1 week. It's
Right,
crazy.
there's got to be a lot of pride with that for the kids too. You know,
Oh,
to,
it's
to be able
tremendous.
to achieve something like that, like, you know, and something they didn't know they could do, right?
Exactly.
You know what's amazing, and that's the third sizzle reel through Patty's answer there. What's amazing, I have 2 German Shepherds. One of them is a little over 100 pounds. No easy task. When the bond was formed with my German Shepherd, when he realized that I was the alpha, that my wife was the alpha, and he formed this bond with us and then started giving back to us in ways that were not there when he was a little bit untrained. We could start enjoying him in different settings, like bringing him to the downtown mall, or bringing him to a brewery, or to a vineyard or a winery, feeling okay when he was running around our 14 or 15-month-old son, or at the park or at the playground, and not freaking out. That sense of relief made us enjoy him more, and because we had that sense of relief, he enjoyed us more because he was less anxious. So trying to relay it to what you're doing with kids, I mean, that's just going to take a kid who oftentimes is at eye level or just a little bit higher than the dog from an eye level standpoint, where the dog is probably challenging the young child for pack superiority, you know, and saying, these are the boundaries, and having a sense of relief for the young man or the young daughter. Throw that to you right there. And how you, when you see that manifest, the value it offers you, and you're like, man, this is working.
That's why I do it. It's success for everyone, all the way around. And it is. It's amazing to watch these dogs look at these kids in different eyes by the third day. It's like, you said to do that, and okay, so if I do it, this happens, and if I don't do it, this happens. And you really know what you're doing, so okay. maybe if I just get up and sit there, you'll give me a treat and tell me I'm a good dog. That works. So we're building the relationship from the ground up, as if there were none. And we can't say there isn't any, because there is a relationship typically when the child comes with the dog. There's this relationship of
maybe playful.
Here's a dog and here's my kid,
Right.
and we play all the time.
Right.
We run and chase each other. Maybe even the child has tried to, or attempted, or successfully taught the dog a few tricks, but there's not a give-give relationship there. It's really a give-take relationship.
Right.
And I think once the children realize how important they are to their dog, and that how important trust is in that relationship, that once they see that their dog couldn't do something earlier this day, but they're able to do it later in the day by not changing anything other than the perspective of the child, and teaching the child that they can do this, that they just need to show the dog how to do it properly and safely, and that they can accomplish anything with
I
it.
love this idea.
Yeah.
I love
It's
love
wonderful.
this idea.
And
We're
sometimes it's just-
exhausted. It takes me
right.
2 weeks to recover.
And sometimes it's just changing the behavior. I mean, when
Yes.
somebody doesn't know how to do something, or they're fearful about doing something, their posture is really low. And once they learn how to do it, their posture raises up, and it gives them more confidence, and the dog looks at them completely different just from their body position. It's like that with the horses too. I mean, there's a different confidence when you have a plan and you know what's going to work.
Posture, tone of the voice,
Exactly.
how you hold
Yeah.
the leash,
Yep.
how you're walking, how you respond to things around you, and that energy being kind of transferred over to your canine who was walking beside you. Jen, I'm curious, and we'll thank some of the folks that are watching here. Sky Herbert,
Yes, hey,
watching
Sky.
right now. Faye Brewster says, "What's up?"
Yay.
I do want to say this. Elisa says, "Jen, I love you too, by the way."
And I love you too.
Babs Cabs is watching right now. Give it a like and a share on any of the channels that you're watching. I will get to all you guys. I will try that are watching on the show right now. Give us some examples firsthand of the exact, like the exercises or like the training that goes on. Like some firsthand relays of like, we do this, we do this, we do this, and this is the outcome.
So I think the most important things that Theresa teaches right off the bat is, no matter what size of the dog, you can have a small dog pull you, you can have a big dog pull you. She immediately makes sure that all the equipment is good, and that
And it
the child can
fits.
handle the dog appropriately, and they can be successful because the equipment is appropriate, right? But after that, she teaches them right off the bat how to be around other dogs with dogs that don't know each other. So I'll give you an example. My dog, when on leash, does not like a dog to come into her face.
Yes.
That's just her
That's fair
preference.
enough.
Yeah.
She doesn't
Right.
like a hyper dog to be all over her. So here you have all these little dog personalities, right? And the kid has to pay attention to where their dog is. So one of the first things that Theresa teaches, besides, learning how to hold the leash properly and use their equipment properly, is what do I do when my dog does this with another dog? How do I handle myself and not get scared and just let the leash go, right? That's not going to help anybody.
Right.
So she teaches, very important commands. She teaches body position. She teaches leash position. She teaches where the dog should be at all times. And she stresses that there's no nose-to-nose between dogs that don't know each other. And you know how hard that is with adults.
Right.
Right? They're
Oh,
yak,
man.
yak, yak, and the dog's over here somewhere. Now you can imagine, her age is from 7 to 17. So we have this whole span of maturity levels, right? And attention to detail, male, female, right? Big dogs with little kids, small dogs with big kids. Sometimes they're not matched perfectly in size or capability to hold on to them. And that is such an important skill. So I would say my first thing that I was impressed with was how a child is taught immediately that first day how to handle their dog around other dogs in this group.
That's amazing. And that's one of the biggest things that I see at Animal Connection. I can tell you that at least 20, 30 times a week, someone will come and say, my dog is pulling. What kind of apparatus have you got? And I say, I'd really rather not sell you apparatus. Let's teach you how to walk your dog. No, I want something else. I said, no,
They want the shortcut.
I said, what happens if you're not If you don't have that piece of apparatus, what happens if it's not there? You need to learn how to train your dog. And then the other thing is, my dog is afraid of other dogs. He has not been socialized. And he's barking when I'm walking on a lead. What do I do? Learning these things is just so important. But I'd be curious to know, like, when a dog is fearful of other dogs, how do you handle that at the camp?
It's not a very common thing at camp, because typically if you've got a kid and a dog coming to camp, they're already pretty much kid savvy.
Right.
But it has happened occasionally, and it's just the whole process of anything like that would be to go slow. So if I was afraid, and I was a child, and I was afraid of something, and you dragged me into the middle of the party and made me be a part of it when I wasn't comfortable yet, that might frighten me to the point of not wanting to try it a second time. With the dogs, it's the same thing. You're not going to drag them into the middle of the party and say, oh yeah, well, these are a bunch of other dogs and you're going to have to cope with it.
Right.
We do it slowly, so maybe that child and the dog will watch from a little bit of a distance. We're fortunate that we have a nice staff and that we have counselors, because we can assign someone to that child and dog so that they can slowly bring this dog's confidence level up, because that's all it does is that it lacks that confidence to get out there and be around the other dogs. The other part is to teach the dog, because there's no nose to nose, the dog learns that they have a safety bubble.
Yeah.
The dog learns that
Humans,
they and
we
their
want that.
child.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
Or
Dogs do too.
we also have dogs that want to take care of their kids. So if they think another dog is coming toward their child, that could turn it a different direction. So we're very aware of that. It's, we all have eyes in the back of our head, and we're trying to keep everyone sorted, but keeping them all at their own rate that they mature through the week. So even though we push them right from Monday to Friday, and we build on what they're learning each day the next day, there are some dogs that are going to move along a little slower. Just like any of us, some of us are going to take maybe a little quicker to piano than we do the violin, or we're going to be a little better at just a breaststroke than we are floating on our back. So the dogs are the same. Some of them are great at walking on leash when they arrive, and some of them are dragging their kid right to the next town. So we teach them immediately that we have to stop and slow down, take a breath, try to ground yourself. We teach the child to stay calm, which teaches the dog that, why am I concerned? Everyone's calm. Maybe I need to take a second look at that. So it's time. It's the time factor. I always say that to everyone. Everyone in their own time, every dog in its own time. So just give them the space and the time to mature in the moment. Typically, these dogs are old enough to understand what's going on, but they lack experience, just like some of the children do, or myself. I'll be challenged next week, I'm sure, by something that I've not experienced before. And it will make me a better human being. It will make me a better dog owner. And I certainly hope a better teacher for these children and their dogs.
I love that.
Nice.
I love that. We'll give some props and throw it to you, Patty, to the people that are watching right now. Donna Kemp Plummer says, hi, Teresa. She says, I've been to her classes and they are fantastic and impactful. Donna Kemp Plummer. Virginia Pageant says, nice interview.
Hi, Jimmy.
Tanja, is it Tanja Fahul?
Tanya.
Tanya. Great job, ladies. I'm loving the show right now. We're going to give some love as well to Linda Pike.
Hey,
watching the program right now.
From
She's watching in
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland right now. That shows you the power of social media and what's barking local in Canada right now. Patty Boden, what's on that brain?
Well, I just want to talk to my little buddy right over here with this is the nicest dog.
Yeah.
Look how calm she
I
is.
forgot the dog was here. This dog is so well behaved.
She's just laid back. And I want to know what's your favorite part of camp? What are the best activities you really look forward to doing?
I love it.
Yeah.
Some activities that we do is like when we take pack walks in the morning.
Oh,
it's
man.
like fun to see all the kids like talking to each other and like talking to their dogs and making sure that they're not like nose to nose, as Jennifer and Teresa said. But I like it when we do other activities and
You
have
do games,
special
don't you?
guests. And yeah, sometimes.
What kind of games?
They have to sing before meals.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that's true.
That's a good one.
Are we going to sing on What's Barking Local? What do you have to sing? What do you have to sing?
You don't want to hear me sing.
Oh, she says, no, we're not singing.
Oh, man. So you're enjoying it, huh? Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. You're getting, let's thank some of the people that are watching. Tell us about what you love about connecting with this dog. Because you and this dog have a bond.
Well, every time I go to Teresa's, she always like jumps on me and always wags her tail and licks me in the face all the time. So we just bonded from like going to Teresa's house all the time and playing with each other and walking down the street and all that stuff.
Nice, great answer. Christine McCoy says, I love this. Hi, Teresa.
Hey, Christine.
Is it Karen Schliff?
Yes.
She says, very nice,
Woo.
Teresa. Great interview
In
right
Illinois.
now.
That's
Watching in Illinois right
Goodness,
now.
all right.
On What's Barking Local. If you have a message for the ladies, I'm happy to relay it to them. Virginia Paget is just loving this right now.
I love it. That's great.
Interacting
Thank
with
you.
the show right now.
Thank you.
When you hear one of your, did you start as a student first and now are a counselor?
Yes.
Okay. A student maturing into a counselor clearly
Yes.
has a connection with an animal.
Absolutely.
Knows dogs inside and out. How does that make you feel?
Awesome. It's wonderful. I met Hannah when she was 4 years old. She started coming to our day camps, which were held 2 each summer, in July that following year. So she had just turned 5 and has attended 2 camps every summer with different dogs, including her own dog, I think was the last camp you attended,
Yep.
up until last year when you began as a junior counselor. So Hannah has matured a great deal through the dogs. The dogs certainly like her very much.
Oh, that's obvious.
The children's dogs take to her right away. If she has to hold a dog to help with another child, or if you see a child get frustrated, if you look over and look at Hannah, Hannah's the kid that's going to go over and just say, it's okay, calm down, it'll be fine. Can I hold your dog for you for a minute while the kid maybe gets himself together? Or she'll tell a little story about having that having happened to her when she was at camp, and that it's really kind of okay, and these things happen, but we'll get through it.
And
So
I think you
it's-
might have
it's
to be a
just been
dog trainer
amazing.
after you finish
Amazing.
school. What
I
do you
think her
think?
plan is to be a veterinarian, actually.
Oh, really?
That's
Awesome.
amazing. You're
That'd
going to
be
crush
good.
it at that. You
Best one
you have
ever.
a way with animals, I can already
Yeah.
tell. Jen, can I throw this to you?
Sure.
You know dogs inside and out. You know animals inside and out. You're great at communication. Great at communication. You're the VP
missed that
of
one.
Sales and Marketing at Volhard.
I am.
You're a fan and a client of Mahogany Ridge.
Very much so.
How have we seen an integration of nutrition and Volhard and Mahogany Ridge?
So this is funny. So, Teresa brought me into this whole fold, believe it or not. So my current life is because of meeting her, really. Our dogs brought us together. She's been friends with Wendy Volhard, the founder of Volhard Dog Nutrition, for decades. We'll just leave it at that. And, they both relocated from New York to Virginia. And so she introduced me to Wendy when I was having struggles with my dog with nutrition. I have 2 dogs, not the hound that I referenced before, but my little Yorkie. And so she's the one that actually said to me, look, you need to get your dog off this food. And I was feeding a very good quality kibble. I thought you try to do the right thing. You only know what you know. And she said, look, just give it a try. Just see what happens. You can't go wrong. You can always go back. And so I switched my dog's food. And ever since then, I'm going to tell you, I've been making leaps and bounds, obviously, through my own research on how nutrition affects behavior, how nutrition affects the health of the dog. And if we're talking Maslow's theory, we do it with people. You send your kid to school, and if they're hungry, or if they have a rash, or if they don't feel good because they're running a fever, they can't focus in school. Well, it's the same for the dog. So if you send your dog to daycare, or you leave your dog home, and they're hungry and they don't feel good, they're going to do things that they normally wouldn't do, or they're not going to listen like you really need them to listen. And so when you satiate those basic needs through nutrition, then you end up with a completely different dog.
It's funny, people will come in and say, what have you got to calm my dog down at Animal Connection? And one of the first things I ask them was, what's your dog eating?
It's the best question.
Yeah, and it's like kids and sugar. I mean, how can you expect a dog to pay attention
Right.
if he's been feeding
Cocoa Puffs.
Carbs?
Yeah,
and
empty
so many-
calories.
Right. So many pet foods are loaded with carbs, and if you just change the diet, your dog will calm down.
And it's the right
Yeah.
ingredients. It's the right, mix of things. And Theresa sees dogs all the time that come in that are eating all kinds of different things, you know, and she works with them in training and she works with them in daycare. And you can tell when a dog was eating something good, and then all of a sudden the dog is acting up in daycare, and she'll say something to me like, "Does this seem odd to you?" And I said, "Yeah." And she'll ask the owner, what's different? And they say, "Oh, we had to switch foods." And it's the funniest thing. It's really the funniest thing.
Talk to us about that, Theresa. And before you do, Deborah, is it Keys, who's in upstate New York watching right now. I used to live and still follow Mahogany Ridge. I love what Mahogany Ridge is doing. She says the soaring springers say hello.
Thank you. Hello, Deborah.
Christine McCoy is loving this interview right now. Linda Sue Conley, love this great and valuable info.
Awesome.
Give it a like, give it a share anywhere
Thank
you're
you.
watching. Jonathan Galasso and Crozet, thank you kindly for joining us.
And I just have to throw something out to Wendy Volhard, and whether she's listening or not, but it's so interesting to me how she brings so many things full circle, from nutrition to obedience to,
Jennifer.
to our relationships and everything. It's just, she has just made such a difference in the dog world and the people world. And, way to go, Wendy.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
There you go.
Allison Watts says, looking good, ladies.
Hey, Allison.
How does nutrition, from your perspective, impact quality of life, behavior, and an assimilation with a furry friend and a family?
Well, we are what we eat, so I'm a believer
Yes.
in good, solid nutrition. And it's going to be different for everyone. It's just like our own diets. As much as most of us would like to eat well, we sometimes don't do the best we can. But we can actually control what we feed our dogs and our children for the most part. And we're finding today that so many more parents are doing due diligence to be certain that their children are getting the right nutrition, and trying to look at that as a more holistic approach also. And educators have known for years that if kids don't eat breakfast, that their brains don't function like they should. And it's so obvious that it's the same with dogs. It's the same with me.
Right.
If I'm protein deficient, by the end of the day, I sure know it. If I'm water deficient, same thing. So what are the important things to us? And they're also the most important things to the dog. We want their brain to function. We need to feed the brain.
Tanya
Instead of
says
just the belly.
Volhard food has worked wonders for us. Deborah says, I shared the Volhard training video with some of my friends and still share it all the time. So a lot of Volhard fans watching right now. This has got to make you feel good.
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, just so many things that sound so simple to people make such a big difference. Like even this thing with the water. You're not drinking enough water every day. My skeet shooting instructor said for me to drink 4 times as much water as I drink in the day, and I thought I drank a lot of water. But it helps keep your eyes and your clarity clear. Just your eyes and your eyes clear and your brain clear, and same thing like that with animals, and people. I mean, just
A
keep
hydrated
it
food
pure.
makes a difference.
That's right.
And I'm going to tell you, it's not like a child where you can tell a child, hey, you've been playing all day in the yard, you should really drink some water. If the dog forgets to drink water or doesn't have access for whatever the reason, the dog doesn't drink water and then stays in a constant state of dehydration. When you feed a hydrated food, and Volhard's just one of them, you know your dog twice a day is getting a hydrated food. So you at least know that they're taking in water involuntarily,
Right.
and you don't have to count on forcing the dog to drink water. So it makes the difference. In the summers that we have in Virginia and other places in the country, it gets hot, it gets humid. Dogs pant. They
That's right.
need to stay hydrated just like we do.
We got a question coming in. I'll throw it to all you guys. Linda Sue Conley. She wants to know, is it grain-free? You hear so many different things. Do you suggest a grain-free diet? You want to start? You want to start, Jen?
Okay, so, there's a place for a grain-free diet. There is. And here's a sneaker peeker. Don't tell anyone. Volhard's going to be coming out with an anti-inflammatory, gluten-free, grain-free diet for those struggling dogs. Yeah, they didn't hear it from me.
Wow.
But those are for special cases for dogs that are really struggling. And we have a lot of variables that are happening to dogs right now. We have rescue dogs that have a mixed background. We don't know what kind of health they've had, how healthy the mother was. We don't know all those things. With vaccinations on an all-time high in some cases, some dogs' immune systems have been compromised. And certain foods will trigger sensitivities. I don't think that every dog on earth needs a grain-free diet. That's my personal opinion. take it or leave that. What Volhard does, and that's what I can speak for Volhard, is they have very purposeful choices about what types of grain go into the diet that are really not sensitive to most dogs. They're also human grade. They're also non-GMO, and we have certificates for all of that. So we're very confident when I say that. So it does make a difference what you are feeding in the way of grain. There is a difference between GMO corn and a human grade oat that's non-GMO. So just keep that in mind when you choose a food, that you look at where the sourcing is. Grains are not all evil. Carbohydrates are not evil. You have to do the due diligence to figure out what it is in there, though.
Right. If it's grain, it's the right grain for that dog
Right.
at that moment in time within a certain
And
season.
dogs are
I mean,
unique
that's right.
people.
Right.
They're unique people. What works for one dog may not work for another, and you got to find your special thing. But, I mean, Wendy Volhard did make the best attempt to make a very free food that would accommodate the most of dogs, right? There are always outliers, but the most of dogs would.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And the science behind it.
Right. And she does it to a whole other level besides, just the ingredient level, but also the, Chinese medicine and hot, warm foods and cool foods and the balance of that in the diet. So there's a couple of layers in there that maybe some others don't have.
We need to make sure Volhard sees this. We
Oh,
just
yeah.
had someone commented, my dog loves Volhard's NDF2.
That is
Right.
it. It's a
Exclamation point.
Right.
It's
And that
delicious.
is a mix that you mix with raw meat and vegetables. So it's like the base of it that brings everything else into balance.
I love it. Allison Watts says, guys, I've taken classes with Theresa for going on 7 years. I volunteer with her kids' camps for years. She has literally changed my life and the lives of my dogs. That's amazing right there.
Allison!
Your
Allison
friends
is
are
one of our
coming
staff.
down.
Yeah.
Allison is on staff at
I
Children's
can
Camp
tell this is
too.
amazing. I love this
I love
show. You guys have filled 45 minutes. It's felt like 4.5 minutes
Really?
right now.
How did that
Yeah.
Serious?
Oh my
Just went by
gosh,
in a
you're
flash.
crushing it right now. This is what we'd like to do, is why don't we close with everyone with kind of like a final word,
Okey-doke.
final thought, where you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Theresa,
Well, first, thank
Show's
you.
yours.
Thank you so much for having us,
thank her.
Patty, here today. Well, and thank you for your time and
Thank you.
expertise
Thank
and energy. It's
Thank you.
contagious.
I love this, and I love being around people. I energize being around people, and I love to connect.
So do we. And this connection we made with Camp Horizons is awesome. I just love this location. It's an hour of travel for us. We load the equipment and go, but it's so worth it. So worth it. And we do have space available in our August camp. If we have some parents or kids out there that might be interested or they just want to check us out online, please do check us out, ask questions, call, get more information. But we do have some space this year in August, and we will be doing camp again next year in June and July.
Jen Carter, I know you have something very poignant that you're going to say
Yeah,
here.
well, have low expectations. You won't be disappointed. I just want to say thank you to everybody here and Theresa for letting me be a part of this. It is a great honor to be able to educate the young and to bring up the next generation of kids who will love dogs and care for them as compassionately as all of us in this room. If we don't take the time to teach them to appreciate these animals that are our companions every day and appreciate them for the short period of time that they're with us in this world, then we've lost something. And so this is how I pass my passion with animals down, is I educate about nutrition and I work with them and I try to help the kids feel my passion about dogs so that they will also rise up and be the stewards of companion animals in the future.
Nice.
So good. That was so good.
Wow.
Yeah, tough to follow that one.
It is tough to follow, but what I love about this is, it's not just the kids working with the dogs, but this is teaching kids lifelong skills. I mean, this is going to help them in school, later on in college, in business, whatever they choose to do. These are skills that are going to make them a more solid human being and learn to cooperate and be empathetic with others and just, really get a nice sense of direction. What Animal Connection was particularly pleased to do is learn about this camp. We are highly supportive of this camp, and I know Harris is going to put on a website where people can learn if they do want to send a kid to camp. And there was a fundraiser over the weekend called Pints or Paws
Yep.
at a cidery, and Jen was a part of this, and they raised enough money to send kids that can't afford to go to camp a chance to go to camp, which I think is really awesome. Looking forward to more of that. So yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Any Hannah? Anything you want to say? Okay.
Does your little dog have anything she wants to say?
Great way with the dog right there.
They're just
Kathy
chilling.
Dunn says, "Way to go, guys! Great message." Linda Conley, I love you guys so much. This was fantastic. This will be archived in its totality on Animal Connection's website, animalconnectionva.com.
That's right. Right.
We will also archive it on iloveseville.com. You can follow Mahogany Ridge on Facebook. Mahogany Ridge, Your Dog's Learning Center is the Facebook page. Teresa, follow her on Facebook as well. What's Barking Local airs on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock on the I Love Seville network. It is the water cooler of animal discussion,
I was hoping you were gonna say
commentary,
that.
and conversation in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, and the world.
Whoa.
17 years and counting. Animal
Nice.
Connection, Central Virginia's longest running, most successful all-natural pet store. My name is Jerry Miller. We will see you in 1 week on the I Love Seville network.
Bark local.
Yeah.
Work, ladies.
Way to go. Puppy,
Nice
what
job.
does she do? Does your
That
puppy
was
high
easy.
Can I
five?
get some dab from you?
There you
Give me
go.
a 5. That's what I'm
There you
talking
go.
about. 47 minutes. Flew by like 4.5.
It sure did.
No problem.
Yeah.
Good work, ladies.
You had me talking about dogs. Come on now.
I'm talking about what we're all passionate
Yeah,
about.
how are we going to get
We were
Wendy?
talking about
how are we
physics.
going to get Wendy on the show?
We should get Wendy on the show.
You should.
We're throwing down the gauntlet now.